Why, hello there, friends. Hello. Welcome to the Valerian Sorcery live stream. Hopefully you've watched the Dany Dragonbinder and the Glass Candle Seeress videos, both of which focused on Daenerys Targaryen getting her hands on some Valyrian sorcery. Yes, this is something I began picking up on a few years ago when I started thinking about where the story is going. Dany is on her way to becoming full Valyrian sorceress. And I say Valerian and not Targaryen because, of course, most of the sorcery of the Freehold of Valyria did not make it to Dragonstone. It is one of the great mysteries of the story as far as when you start thinking about the Targaryens. Why didn't the Targaryens bring more Valyrian magic with them to Dragonstone? I actually wrote an essay about that way back in like 2015 or maybe 2014 on Westeros.org before I ever started the podcast and all that stuff. So so that's what we're going to be talking about today. It's going to be a live discussion. I'm definitely taking questions from you guys. Anything having to do with Valyria, Valyrian sorcery, Daenerys, or any of the people in the story that are using Valyrian sorcery, such as Euron, or people that might be using it. John, we talking about Valyrian steel swords, dragon horns, glass candles, all that stuff. Darth, I thought I unbanned you, buddy. Yeah, you're commenting, so you're unbanned. I got you, buddy. You sent me a PayPal last week, and I found your name in the YouTube thing and unbanned you. So you're good. Yeah, you're good, man. You're good. You're unbanned. If you were banned, you wouldn't be able to comment in the chat. It's the same. That's the same permission, being able to comment in the chat or comment on the YouTube page. So you should be good. In any case, so we are here to talk about, like I said, anything having to do with Euron, Valyria, Dany, Jon Snow, Marwyn the Mage, Makoro. We can go any of those directions. Quaithe, obviously, is shy. So I've got a couple things I want to talk about, but definitely want to open it up to you guys. And by the way, just a little behind the curtains action. I am moving once again. I have moved a lot in the last 2 years, and I'm moving again. And it's actually good news this time. Both, as many of you guys know, I'm roommates with Quinn from Quinn's Ideas. Hopefully you're subscribed to Quinn's Ideas by now. I don't know if you are, but should be. I imagine all of my people are subscribed to Quinn's Ideas. In any case, Quinn and I have both been lucky in love, I guess you would say, recently. And so we are going from roommates to basically we're both putting ourselves in position to live with someone who isn't a roommate, who is a significant other. I'll just say that. I want to go too far into the personalized stuff, but point is, I am moving and I need money. So if you want to send in the donations to paypal.me mythical astronomy, that will help me a great deal more than the super chats today. I've got to rent a moving truck and put down first month's rent. You know how it is, security deposit, rent, all that stuff. So definitely fundraiser today. So I'm here to take any of your questions and answer them to the best of my abilities. Yes. And let me also say some thank yous, guys. The views have been great lately, just past 37,000 subscribers. So thanks a lot. A lot of new people coming into the channel that have found the Great Empire of the Dawn series in the last couple of months. So I've seen people going through all the old videos and making comments. I see you and I appreciate that. I've been trying to respond and heart your comments just to let you know I see you guys. But yeah, welcome to the mythical astronomy family. If you're a newer person, and yeah, the paypal.me mythical astronomy should work. The full link looks like this: www.paypal.me/mythical astronomy. Same deal. Either one will get you there. You don't need a PayPal. You can just go right there. Yes, we're almost to 40K. That's going to be a big milestone for sure. Looking forward to that. So yeah, just wanted to say thank you. And yeah, I got you, Genty. I got some Patreon questions. Of course, I am not the most consistent with as far as what we're doing with the Patreon program. At different times, I put scripts out early. Other times, I give away some free artwork. I need to give some more artwork. I've got nicknames coming sort of infrequently. But the one thing I do very consistently is always give you a chance to ask questions early. So that's one of the benefits you can get if you join Patreon, is when I do one of these live streams, I'll make a post. You can get your question in ahead of time and you'll definitely get it. So let's go ahead and start with the Patreon questions, because I got a good one from Jinty M, who says, do you think the Valerian's magic was from the great empire of the Dawn, meaning pre-Long Night, or a new branch of magic stolen from the Green Seers by Azor Ahai / the Bloodstone Emperor? Because remember, I've talked a lot about Azor Ahai, who I think is the Bloodstone Emperor, having invaded the Weirwood Net, stolen the magic of the Weirwoods from the Green Seers. Nissa Nissa was a child of the forest, so on and so forth. So, or could it be a mixture of both? So the Valerian magic, is it just Great Empire of the Dawn magic, or is it more traceable to the potential corruption of the Bloodstone Emperor? As far as we know, shadow magic is not an ability of the Children of the Forest. And we know they taught the First Men some of their magic, but it's unclear how magic was introduced to the Great Empire of the Dawn or the Valerian. So several questions you're hinting on. That's actually a really good place to start, Jinty. Thank you. And thank you, Lauren, whom just got a mythical astronomy nickname. A fresh one, yes. Kicking it with the Bio family. We'll have to catch you on the replay next time, Lauren, next time. But I hope you liked your new nickname in the video. Yes, my partner is definitely a Song of Ice and Fire fan. There's no question about that. So, what was I saying? Yes. Well, a whole barrel of questions from Jinty there. What prompted this stream? I'm not going to be able to do one this Sunday. I'll be moving. So I will need to, I figured I'd do one today when I had the chance to. And of course, NBA draft is today. I'm waiting for my Warriors to select at number 7 or perhaps make a trade, but you guys don't care about that. So let's start with the intersection of the Children of the Forest magic and the Great Empire of the Dawn. It's fairly obvious that the Valyrians got their magic from the Great Empire of the Dawn, but let's unpack. Let's go back further. The biggest thing we know about the Great Empire of the Dawn that's important is that they came to Westeros, right? Because if they didn't come to Westeros, then it's only like interesting backstory. The whole point of Azor Ahai, the whole point of the Great Empire of the Dawn, essentially, is to build a conveyor belt of plausibility between Ashai in the Far East, where Azor Ahai and Lightbringer legends come from, and Westeros, where we have the others who need to be killed, right? So the whole point of finding the Fused Stone Fortress at the base of the High Tower, meaning underneath the High Tower of Old Town, is because this is the clearest way that George could prove to us that this thing has been here since the First Men. Because we're told that the High Towers built 5 different towers before they came up with the current one, which supposedly was built in collaboration with Brandon the Builder. And the builder of the tower is Uthor Hightower, who's the first High Tower in history. Brandon the Builder supposedly lived before the Long Night in the Age of Heroes. Obviously, all that timeline is very fog of history foggy. However, there's a movement to get me to watch Breaking Bad. It's on the list. I might consider it. It seems a little dark, but okay. So the Fused Stone Fortress, it's under the High Tower in Old Town. This tells us that it's been there a long time. The High Towers have been building towers there since the oldest memory of anybody in Westeros. And in fact, it's said that people may have been coming to Whispering Sound and, the site of Old Town essentially before the First Men, and that there may have been ancient traders from far off lands and all this stuff. So there's all this mystery there that's heavily spelling out this idea that people came there a long time ago who were not the First Men, because they came there by sea. And of course, the First Men are not skilled seafarers. So not only is it a fortress under the High Tower, it's a fused stone fortress, right? And that means that it was made by Dragonlords. So now we have Dragonlords Westeros before the long night. So why would Dragonlords come to Westeros? There's really only one obvious answer, which is magic. The Great Empire of the Dawn was incredibly powerful. They had all this territory. Why would they need to come all the way to Westeros? Well, Westeros is unique because they have what? Weirwoods, right? They have weirwoods. They have the green seer magic. And this is something that, it may be found elsewhere, but we don't know that. We know that the Efekevron in Essos are similar to the Children of the Forest, but there's no weirwood trees there. And we don't know what the shade of the evening trees are. And we've only seen those in Garth, inside the Temple of the House of the Undying, which they may have planted there especially. We've never seen weirwoods growing wild anywhere outside of Westeros. And we've never seen shade trees anywhere except for Garth. So it's suggested in the World of Ice and Fire that the reason why whomever these ancient seafarers were that came to Westeros, they would have come there to learn the magic of the Children of the Forest. That's the obvious reason, or perhaps to enslave the giants, which, maybe. But so we've got this idea that the Dragonlords of the Great Empire of the Dawn came to Westeros to trade magical ideas with the Children of the Forest. That is directly all spelled out by the World of Ice and Fire. That's not even me theorizing, really. So, what does that mean, learn magic? Well, it could mean dark things. Maybe they were happily having a summit and just exchanging information. Maybe the Bloodstone Emperor was taking the Children of the Forest prisoner. We don't know. But the point is there was some level of magical exchange. This opens up the idea that the dragon bond, which seems to have been created by the Great Empire of the Dawn, because again, they're building infused stone before the long night. So that means the dragon bond, using sorcery to control dragons, this dates back to before the long night, to the Great Empire of the Dawn. So how did they do that? Well, one theory has always been that skin changer or green seer magic could be used, because this gives you an initial way to control a dragon, to get it to participate in some obscene rite, or perhaps to put human consciousness inside of the dragon. Like if you think about Second Life, when the skin changer dies, they go into their animal, right, that they've been bonded with. So perhaps if you had something with a dragon, then that's a way you could get a human spirit inside of a dragon. And maybe that's part of creating a dragon bond where the human and the dragon can communicate. Maybe you need a human spirit inside the dragon, just as you need a little bit of reptilian dragon DNA inside the humans, because obviously the Targaryens have some lizard DNA. Got a couple of super chats here. Darth Locus piping in with gratitude for being unblocked. We're good now. We're good now, right? We're good. Watching, that's right, the Breaking Bad movement. Yes, I said that. We're going pyramids in Antarctica and on Mars already, huh? It's a little early in the day for that. But yeah, maybe. Maybe. I've read a book about Mars, and I found that to be inconclusive myself. But so we've got this question of, like I said, ancient Dragonlords and the Children of the Forest being connected. Well, it's not as weird as it sounds, right? We're told that the Children of the Forest armed the Night's Watch with dragon glass, right? Frozen fire. This is something that the Valyrians use with the glass candles. So the Children of the Forest are using dragon glass too for its magical properties. I've pointed out the theory from James of Thrones that the Children of the Forest could be lizard people instead of just elf people. They have slitted eyes like a cat's eyes, but those are also the same eyes as you see on many reptiles like snakes. And they have clawed forefingers, which is another reptilian trait, black clawed fingers. One of them is nicknamed Scales by Bran, which means that they might have scaly skin. So they actually sound a lot like lizard people, especially when they live underground in caves. So the Children of the Forest, like that could be the source of what we think of as lizard DNA that's in the Targaryens. Like that could be from the Children of the Forest. There's all kinds of possibilities that open up there. Then we have the idea that the Children of the Forest helped provide the last hero with the sword of Dragonsteel. It's not said directly, but it's implied. The Children of the Forest, the last hero, he is being pursued by the others, right? And he's looking for the children. And all his friends die, and his sword breaks from the cold, it says. And then we get this gap in the story, but later we hear a song about the last hero. It describes him riding out with the Night's Watch to fight the War for the Dawn. And we're also told that the last hero had a blade of dragon steel, right? So he broke his sword. He got help from the Children of the Forest. Bran says, the children, they helped the last hero. So we know that the children helped the last hero and saved his bacon. Then he shows up with a sword of Dragonsteel and the Night's Watch. The Night's Watch say their oaths to the Weirwoods. At least originally, the first men of the Night's Watch would have done that because they would have been Weirwood worshipping first men. So if the Children of the Forest helped the last hero, if the Night's Watch swears their oaths to the Weirwoods, and if the Children of the Forest then provide the Night's Watch with dragonglass, you can see that the children were instrumental in helping humans win the War for the Dawn, setting up the Night's Watch, and potentially even arming the last hero with this mysterious sword of Dragonsteel, as well as all this dragonglass. Now, if the last hero is connected to Azor Ahai and Lightbringer, Dragonsteel may well be Lightbringer and Dawn, or some combination of those things. We've got, again, another intersection of Azor Ahai, the Dragonlord from the east, and the Children of the Forest. So there's got to be some mystery behind the Children of the Forest and the dragon blood connection. I don't know what it is. It could be the creation of the blood of the dragon. It could be the fact that Azor Ahai, like I said, broke into the Weirwood net to steal the magic of the Green Seers, and so now the Children of the Forest are just having to deal with him, the fallout of his actions. Any of those things are in play, so feel free to speculate there in the chat and in the comments. But that's the first thing I have to say about the children and the Great Empire of the Dawn. Shane Hawley asks, what do you think the different colors of the glass candles mean? Yeah, this is a question a lot of people asked in the comments as well. What could it mean of the sword Dawn if it's a white glass candle? Because, of course, Dawn is described as being pale as milk glass. Milk glass is basically like a white glass. It's mostly opaque. It's slightly translucent. So it could be that Dawn is a white glass candle, right? I've wondered about that. Sword of Shannara fans, you remember the famous Sword of Shannara. Its ultimate purpose wasn't to chop anyone, but actually it reveals truth. And it's got a higher sorceress purpose is what I'm trying to say. I've wondered if Dawn is like that. Maybe Dawn is a giant glass candle. The glass candles light up, obviously, and bring a whole bunch of light. So Dawn being a glass candle, lighting up with light, and maybe giving magical sight or visions, that could be a thing. I've definitely wondered about that. So yeah, I don't know what the green glass candle does. It's probably symbolism to give us, to parallel the Green Seers and the glass candle visions, but I doubt that it does anything different than the black glass candles. Probably they've got purple dragon glass on purple and red dragon glass on Dragonstone, so we could see glass candles of many different colors. Okay, there's more Patreon, but I'm going to flip over to PayPal. I'm trying to encourage the PayPals today. If you're joining late, I'm moving tomorrow and could sure use the funds to help make it happen. Moving is always tough. That choke point in the budget. So I've got several here. I've got Amelia. Let's see. Asking about collaborations between me and In Deep Geek. So we definitely used to collaborate a lot. There was a bit of a fandom thing a couple of years ago, which I refer to as an attempt to cancel me, essentially, by some people in a small corner of the fandom. In Deep Geek wasn't part of that, but I think that he feels like some of his people are fans of other people who don't like me as much, and there's potential tension. It's all good between me and In Deep Geek, but there's some lingering fandom weirdness. So probably that's the reason why that's not going to happen. I would probably be open to it, but You know, we each do our own thing. He's doing more Lord of the Rings, so that is cool. I know we have a lot of fans in common for sure. And I occasionally reference his work. Tower of Joy stuff is really good. I talked about his the way he analyzed Jon's dream at the wall with the sword and the black ice armor and stuff like that. So Mr. E Knight says, some funds for the growth and changes ahead. Can you dissect what forms of magic still linger in the ruins of Valyria? Grayscale seems more magic than illness, but then the weird time-space warp on the Shy Maid is fascinating. What's going on there? And is it the last remnants of the ancient magic pre-Doom? So the Roin, the Bridge of Dream, where they have that little time warp, I'm really not sure what's going on with that one. That's just a weird little slip in the time-space continuum or something. I don't think we're ever going to get an answer with that. Now, the Roinar did have water magic, right? They made the waters rise up when they were fighting the Valerians. So there is a water magic. And of course, Patchface seems to be water undead, if you will, in the same way that we have ice and fire undead. So it seems that all the elements can be used for magic. It's just that ice and fire are the ones that we are focusing mostly on in the story. But the Roinar had water magic. Now, as far as the Doom, what lingers there, it's definitely a magical fallout zone. So there is magic in Valyria still, but it seems to be fairly corrupted. Euron claims to have found the Hellhorn there. We don't know if that's true or not. The grayscale is definitely like a magical disease. I would say that it's both. But I don't think the magic left in Valyria is going to be so important as the sort of legacy of Valyrian magic, the glass candles, the Valyrian swords, and the dragon horn. I think those are the things that we need to look at. Hopefully we won't have any more human animal hybrids to create. Hopefully that's all done. But of course, the fact that the Valerians did make human animal hybrids at Gogossos gives us a clue that they may have been coming again to Westeros to use the magic of the children of the forest in order to do weird crossbreeding stuff. And I'm just noticing my camera is like super crooked. Hang on. So my ADD can be happy. It's not really. Why is that still happening? Hang on. Nothing gets me worse than a crooked camera. All right, that's better. It was straight up before. All right. Thank you guys coming in with the super chats, keeping me busy here. George isn't talking about A Song of Ice and Fire lately. Too many conspiracy, real life talking about the royal family, lizard people. Come on, he has a gun on him. What are you talking? I'm not sure what you mean. I don't read his blog every day, so I'm not sure what he's been talking about. He doesn't seem like much of a conspiracy guy in my experience. GR says, will you be going to see The Green Knight tomorrow? And will you be doing a review of it? I'm definitely going to go see it. I don't know about tomorrow because I'm moving this weekend, but definitely going to see it. I'm excited for it. It looks awesome. And we'll see. It depends on how much it moves me. I don't usually cover movies, but I have thought about branching out to basically anything else with good symbolism and stuff. So definitely going to see it. I'll let you know what I think of it for sure. Yeah, people tried to cancel Lucifer too. It's true. All right. Jace says, toward the move and for hours of entertainment, thank you. That has helped me see deeper into this great story than I would have reached on my own. And again, I got a lot of new people to the channel. I've been getting several versions of basically what is my favorite comment, something along the lines of this, that through the podcast, they've learned to analyze literature differently, look for more symbolism and stuff like that. That's totally the point of what I'm doing here. Symbolism will change your life. It's changed mine. So I feel the emotion in comments like this. And again, those are pretty much my favorite ones to read. So thanks so much for letting me know how symbolism has affected you. And yeah, I'm probably not going to go full 2 hours today. My voice is a little tired. I recorded a very long video last night. It's going to be the new moon meteors video, essentially. It's going to be an hour-long video. It'd either be the next one or the one after, but I recorded it all last night while I still have my wall set up, because of course I'm going to pull it down and move this weekend. So yeah. Okay, so let me go back over to PayPal's here. And yeah, some of you are figuring out Mr. E Knight, Mystery Knight. Very clever, very clever. Ludmila, glass candles seem like pretty invasive technology. Do you think Dany will only use them to learn history in Ashai, or will she be tempted to spy on others and be in their heads? What power? And power corrupts. Yeah, this is a good point. The glass candles are definitely a little invasive. There's all kinds of bad things you can do. You can implant dreams, you can dream watch, you can whisper into people's ears, you can definitely spy. So yeah, this is a good question. Perhaps this will be a way that Dany's path goes a little bit darker. And guys, I've said a million times that Dany's not going to become Dragon Hitler. She's not going to murder a bunch of people. Definitely never going to change from that until George writes otherwise. However, I'm not blind to the idea that her path might go darker before she sees through the trap of the Iron Throne and turns north to fight the others, which of course seems like the ultimate purpose for her dragons. So this glass candle, it is definitely questionable, right? So I think Dany will use this strategically. I definitely think she'll gain knowledge from Ashai. She may talk to Quave, but who knows what else she will do. Maybe she'll start messing with Fagon's dreams and stuff. Who knows? Could she get in touch with Bloodraven with the candle? No, I've read Dune. I have. So got a couple more generous super chats here. One from Shauna. Thank you for helping me see media differently. I'd never be able to decipher A Song of Ice and Fire without big fans like you. Right on, Shauna. Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm just trying to pass on what George has done for me, essentially, you know. Little hat tip to Joseph Campbell. Definitely people like that help me figure out how it all works. But, you know, I mentioned at the end of the glass candle video, Schmendrick, R plus L equals Lightbringer by Schmendrick, being one of the foundational essays that really inspired me and shaped how I think. And I want to just re-emphasize that if you go and read this essay, you will see where my style comes from. You will see the baby seeds of my analysis style. It's right here. Yeah. I think I'm going to go get the cockatoo, guys. She sounds angry. Goose's screaming I can suffer through, but the cockatoo screaming is absolutely unbearable. Let me pull up some Valyria art. I found some new Valyria art, and I will show it to you. This one is by Tom Sturk X, and it is called Doom of Valyria, but it looks like the moment like right before the doom. You can see the volcano sort of blowing its top, little mushroom cloud there in the distance. But I'll be right back, guys. 1 second. Oh, it's too hot. You better grab it. And we now return to the Valyrian Magic live stream. Yes, Cleo. Hi, good girl. Come here. Come here, girl. Yes, we both maintain the fiction that you don't run my... Actually, only I maintain that fiction. Anyways, hey guys. So yes, Valyria. Where were we? Let me go back, see if I missed any super chats. You guys are awesome. Thanks for all the support, guys. Do you ever set your videos to premiere at a certain date, or do you upload it immediately? Upload immediately. Good question. I look at the people who schedule their videos ahead of time and finish them and then let them... I have no idea what those people are doing. I'm like desperately always trying to finish it by some date and then putting it up as soon as I'm done. That is how I do things. I have ADD. Let's see. Yeah, and Shauna also... Thanks for your continued Danny love. Lots of people have said that. Of course, you know, I'm always holding it down for Danny. Danny's my favorite character. I've said this before. You know, she's my favorite character, not because she's a beautiful dragon lady, although that definitely doesn't hurt. I identify strongly with her sense of justice and the way that she sticks her neck out to try to do what she cares about and kind of doesn't care what anyone else says about her. I love that about her. I feel like an orphan sometimes for various reasons. You know, I moved across the country when I was 23 by choice, but I kind of did that because I've always just been just a weirdo, you know, sort of on my own, blah, 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 blah. Not like antisocial or anything. I love people, but just been kind of a freak. Didn't fit in on the East Coast where I grew up. Had to move to California to find folks, blah, 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 blah. So a lot of parts of Danny's personality I really identify with, but mostly it's the sense of justice. And also the cleverness and ingenuity with which she approaches problems. You know, you read Jon Snow's POV, sometimes it's a little frustrating. You want him to be a little smarter. You know, and with Danny, I feel like she frequently comes up with the right solution. So I love Danny. I'm always here to represent for Danny. My Born to Burn the Others video is still one of the favorite ones I've ever done. And I feel really strongly about that video. So definitely a lot of fun to get this dragon binder and Valyrian glass candle Danny videos out. I definitely see, like I said, Danny becoming a full Valyrian sorceress. So if she could get the horn and the candle, then she'd basically be there. So getting back to the question of what will Danny do with the candle? She has, like I said, Quaid has already shown her the use of the candle. She knows that Quaid can contact her remotely in the waking dream by using the candle. So when Marwyn shows up with a candle, she's going to have an idea of what she can do with it. Marwyn obviously will be able to tell her as well, but Danny's already going to know. So yeah, I could see, like I said, when Danny gets back to Westeros and they're actually coordinating, thank you, Minty, when they're actually coordinating between the North and Jon Snow and all that, and Danny's forces, the glass candle could be very useful. I talked about Marwyn getting a hold of Sam. Definitely Jon and Danny could get in contact with each other. You know, I mentioned the idea that Euron could be someone to watch out for on the astral plane. So the thing that I'm seeing is like the magical sight powers are a little bit fuzzy. Like the Weirwoods can see the past mostly, but they can also see the present. We've seen Bran's coma dream. He can see things happening in the present. Bran can talk to people like Theon kind of in the present or the near present. And we've even wondered, can Greenseers see the future? It's not said that they can, but if the Weirwoods have mastery over the river of time, it would make sense if they could, if the future can be seen. And it seems like the future can be seen, at least in possibilities. The fire vision of the Red Priests can see things that are happening in the present and in the future, but not the past, so far as we know. And then the glass candles, the emphasis on the candle seems to be mostly present time communication. My point is, though, that any of this could be fuzzy. If Dany sees visions of the past in the glass candle, that's not going to surprise anyone. And if a green seer can see the future, that's not going to surprise anyone. So that's why I say that Dany could get a hold of the Great Empire of the Dawn, Gemstone Emperors, or Euron, or people like that. Basically, once you're on the astral plane, you're on the astral plane. And that's, for example, Melisandre looks into the fire and she can see Bran and Bloodraven. The House of the Undying vision shows Dany all kinds of stuff, right? From all over the kingdom. In fact, lots of people see the Red Wedding coming. The Ghost of High Heart sees it in Weirwood Dreams, and the House of the Undying shows it to Dany through the shade of the evening. So, and yeah, me and Quinn aren't going to be roommates anymore, like I said, but be happy for us. We have both found love and are moving towards, living with people that we sleep in the same bed with. Yes, let's put it that way. Despite all of everyone's best attempts to ship me and Quinn, we were always only friends. So there it is. Be happy for both of us. Yeah, we're both blessed and grateful right now. So yeah. Let's see. Where are we? Not far though. We can still hang out. So I'll still pop in once in a while. We'll still collaborate and shit like that. Maybe now that we're not roommates, we'll be able to finish the Winds of Winter series. All right. So I got a couple more PayPals. Thanks, guys. From Kurt, is there a connection between Garth the Green and the Valyrian Freehold? Well, no, it wouldn't be the Valyrian Freehold, but Garth the Green and the Great Empire of the Dawn. That is a different story. They did have there was a green. Oh God, what are the gemstones? Why can't I remember them? Jade. There's a Jade Emperor. Thank you. There's a Jade Emperor. So maybe Garth the Green was the Jade Emperor. The thing about the other thing about the connections between the Great Empire of the Dawn, the Dragonlords from the East, and Westeros and the Children of the Forest is the Green Men. And of course, Garth just seems like a green man, basically. So as I mentioned in my Isle of Lang video, The Secret Origins of the Green Men, it seems like the old ones of Lang are the same thing as the Green Men on Westeros. Seems very certain to me. It's a little circuitous as far as unpacking all the Lovecraftian old ones references and stuff. But once you get there, you can see that the old ones are definitely supposed to be horny goat people. And given their connections with underground cities and stuff like that, seems very, very probable that the old ones of Lang were green men. That's why the green men are super tall, and that's why the Langi are tall with golden eyes and sort of medium brown skin, a lot like the Children of the Forest. So if the green men were on the Isle of Lang, the Isle of Lang was part of the Great Empire of the Dawn. So now you have another connection between the green seer magics and the Great Empire of the Dawn. Now, maybe the green men weren't originally green seers. Maybe Azor Ahai was like a green man, and they're the ones who invaded, and it was originally just the Children of the Forest that were associated with the Weirwoods. And the green men on the Isle of Faces are from the Great Empire of the Dawn and from Lang. That could be. Like, we don't know how Martin is imagining all this. We don't know what the deal is with the green men at all. They're so cryptic. They're so in the background. We know that they were there because we have the legend of Garth. We have the legend of the green men, the green king of the God's Eye, the Baratheons with their stagman stuff, the Horned Lord mythology up north. We know that stagmen were definitely in Westeros. We just don't know if they were native to Westeros or if they came from Lang. But this is yet another connection. And tourmaline, by the way, comes in like every color. Pink, blue, green. I've got the black tourmaline right here. Black and white are the most common tourmaline colors. Focus. There it is. Pretty. This one's got a little bit of white tourmaline on the end. So, yeah, Suge Knight probably did kill Tupac. That's probably true. And let's see here. Tara sends in a PayPal. She likes the dragon skin changer idea. Makes you wonder about Drogo's spirit going into Drogon. And she's thinking maybe Viserion will betray Dany because it has Mirri Mazdur in there, who is, hates Dany, something like that. One thing that I will tell you about Mirri Mazdur is that the thing she does to Drogo seems like a skin changer resurrection ritual that Mirri used on Drogo, knowing he wasn't a skin changer and that it would create a zombie. So here's how that works. When Mirri so the Dothraki bond between horse and rider is sacred, and it's more sacred than marriage in Dothraki culture. No one can ride the horse of another man. It's like very important. So perhaps there was a time when the Dothraki skin changed their horses. Because remember, the Ifakevron are just like children of the forest. They lived just north of the Dothraki Sea, and the Dothraki revered the Ifakevron. So maybe, just imagine, if you will, that the ancient Dothraki were horse skin changers. So now what Mirri Mazdur does to try to save Drogo, she kills the horse and says, strength of the horse, go into the rider. All right. So imagine what's happened here is that the horse's spirit has been put inside of Drogo, which is why he's a friggin' vegetable now. Okay. But if Drogo had been a skin changer and he was dying right there, which he was, his spirit might have been going into his horse to start second life. And so then what Mirri Mazdur was doing would have been a basic skin changer resurrection ritual. You sacrifice the animal, you say a magic prayer or do a spell to guide the spirit back into the resurrected body, and you raise the body with some shadow magic. That's what she did. And that's exactly what is going to need to happen with Jon. Jon's spirit is going to be in his wolf ghost. And then we're going to need to use like shadow binder magic, basically, to raise Jon's body, because I believe all the resurrection magic is essentially shadow binding. You're binding the shadow to an animated corpse. The corpse isn't living. It's a walking meat sack, but somehow it's animated by magic, and the spirit or soul or something is bound to the corpse. So to me, that is shadow binding. I'm going to explain that in my shadow binding video soon. But basically what we're doing here with the Mirri Mazdur thing, like I said, if Drogo had been a skin changer, that would have been putting his spirit from the horse back into the rider. And this is what is going to happen with Jon. Yes, Ghost's wolf body is going to die. Just like Mithras had to sacrifice the white bull, Jon's white wolf is going to have to be sacrificed so that Jon can be reborn. Now, the thing is that when Jon starts second life, he's going to merge with Ghost's spirit. So the thing that goes back into Jon's body will be Ghost's wolf spirit and Jon's man spirit, which are now merged. So Ghost won't actually die. It's just the wolf. I know. Stop trying to kill Ghost, you monster, Tony says. That's fair. That's fair. Sorry, guys. I'm just telling you. It's going to happen. That's why when at Jon's birth, the white bull, Gerald Dane, dies. Because that's a Mithras reference. Like I said, Mithras has a white bull that is his companion, his alter ego. He has to sacrifice the white bull to be reborn. And so Jon, at Jon's birth, we see the death of the white bull, Gerald Hightower. This is foreshadowing the death of the white wolf when Jon is resurrected. Jon will become the white wolf. He's going to have white hair and red eyes, just like Elric of Melniboné, just like Bloodraven, just like the wolf ghost. And he will be literally the wolf man, Ghost John. I've talked about this in many videos. So getting back to the Dothraki skin changer idea, they would be like centaurs. This is George's version of centaurs, yes. And the Miri Mazdur ritual is essentially, again, a skin changer resurrection ritual that was used on Drogo, knowing that he wasn't a skin changer and that it would just produce a vegetable, or even like the horse's mind inside of Drogo. But if that was happening, then Drogo should have been like kicking and stamping like a horse, which would have been funny, but I don't think that was it. So in any case, yeah, how did we get onto that? That was a good one. Thank you, Tara. Deborah says, what do you think Danny's vitamin water flavor of choice? Well, they have a dragon fruit one, I think. So that would have to be the one. That's the triple X, is the dragon fruit. Don't bite my windscreen, girl. Thank you, Stefan, with a little moving funds. Really appreciate that, guys. You guys are coming through for me. That means everything. Hiring a moving truck, you know, putting gas in the moving truck, paying my security deposit. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So let's go back over to Patreon. So I've got some more Patreon questions. Oh, and let me make sure the mic is still good. Hang on. I just jostled the cable. Okay, we're good. We're good. So Patreon. Gus asks, he says, Tyrion mistakes the red glow of Valyria for sunrise. Is Dany's prophecy about the sun rising in the west, setting in the east, a metaphor for sailing past or through Valyria? Well, that's an interesting idea, because I think Dany could definitely sail through Valyria. I think mostly, so the second sun rising thing is about the meteors. So I've talked about this. When the dragons fight, it's like 1,000 suns in the sky. When a meteor hits it, it lights up the whole sky. It's like a blinding flash. And so I think ultimately that's the symbolism that all the second sun stuff is referring to. However, there's also room for more granular, specific interpretations with stuff like this. And that could be. I do think that the idea of Dany sailing through Valyria is in play. Wouldn't that be appropriate and poetic? And yeah, it'd be a good way for George to give us a little more lore about Valyria. Maybe she can recapture something. Maybe she'll run into Jaime Lannister. Or she can get some fireworms. Maybe Jorah can get some fireworms to add to his grayscale. Oh, no, it's right. It's John Connington that has grayscale in the books. I always forget that. All right, girl, come here. I don't want you anymore. I'll put you over here. Princely asks, do you think the Valerian sorcery blood magic is strengthened at the hinges of the world, like Melisandre says her magic is? And other than the wall, what are the other hinges? Me and Quinn were actually talking about this earlier today. Yeah, so Valyria, Quinn was asking me, do you think Valyria is a hinge? And I was like, yeah, probably. It's not, the wall is the only one that is spelled out as a hinge of the world. But basically, a hinge of the world is a place where magic seems to flow out of the ground. Think of ley lines, something like that. So a shy, you know, the Shadowlands, that definitely seems like a hinge of the world, because Melisandre thinks to herself, my magic will be stronger here at the wall even than in a shy. So it's almost like she's comparing this, a shy, as the previous benchmark for a place that naturally enhances your magic. This also makes it make more sense why people sail to a shy to learn dark magic. It's not just because anything goes there. It's because the magic works better there. That makes sense. And also dragons seem to hang out in the Shadowlands up there by Stygia in that valley. So perhaps the dragons are the source of the magic, or maybe they just like to live by the hinges of the world. Any of that would make sense. Yeah, Mr. E Knight. Well, now that I've got the joke about your name, I will definitely work that into your nickname. And yeah, I'm definitely getting caught up on the patron names after I move. I've had it with myself and my own slackerdom. You all are sending me money. It's the least I could do to make up 200 nicknames and send them out. Okay. Let's see. PayPal. This is sort of a crackpot idea, but there's magic in blood. Yes, definitely. Like I said, ice, fire, water, presumably wind are sources of magic. Blood is obviously a big source of magic. So, do the children of mothers who die in childbirth have natural magical potential? No, that is more of a symbolic thing, folklore belief kind of a thing where George frequently works with this idea that parents have a choice. To gain magical power, they have to sacrifice their children or their fertility. So, a parent that dies in childbirth is basically symbolic of the opposite of somebody who sacrifices everything they have to give life to another being. And of course, parenting is like that in miniature. You give up a lot, obviously, to raise a child. So, George, it's just one of the major themes of A Song of Ice and Fire is people who sacrifice to give life to others versus people who take life from others in order to gain power themselves, right? Wow, I got a couple of really generous PayPals coming in, guys. Thank you so much. Let me flip back over. Really, really appreciate it. One from Sam. Is there any evidence of history before the Great Empire of the Dawn? It's really the oldest thing we've got. We don't have much going back before the Long Night at all. Everything seems to start after that. The only other thing that's definitively pre-Long Night, in my opinion, is the Empire of the Fisher Queens, because the Silver Sea seems to have been wiped out by the Long Night. It was this huge inland sea where the Dothraki Sea is now, and it might have been just unfathomably huge if it included the womb of the world, which I believe it did. So the only thing that can get rid of a sea that big, quickly would be, a long night, fire burst, climate change kind of a thing. So I think the Fisher Queens are pre-Long Night, but other than that, it's Great Empire of the Dawn and the Fisher Queens that existed. And the Great Empire of the Dawn history is so mythical. The emperors are ruling for centuries. The God Emperor came down from heaven and rode around in a pearl palanquin. I don't know what any of that means. So that's pretty much as far back as it goes. And some people like to speculate about previous long night cycles. That's possible, but that's just, too far back. Well, I guess I should say that like Yin is very, very old. That could be thousands of years old. There could be like, okay, well, let me say this. If there is something before the Great Empire of the Dawn and the Dragonlords, obviously, if you go back long enough, it's maybe just the Children of the Forest, right? There could have been a kingdom of the Squishers because Ashai has oily black stone and Yin has oily black stone. And if that's not related, I think that's related to the meteors. But if it's not, then it's related to the Squishers and shit that came way long ago. So maybe the Great Empire of the Dawn took over Ashai from the Squishers empire of oily black stone. And Moat Cailin also, which looks a lot like Yin and maybe oily black stone, could be a Westerosi remnant of the Squisher Empire. So that's that's what I got for you on that. Oh gosh, is it 420? Look at that. Let me pull up another piece of artwork. This is one of the ones I used for the title. Yes, fishes are hot. I'm a Pisces, so I'll take that. Share screen. This one is The Doom of Valyria by Ted Kru. All right. So if there's guys, if there's any NBA draft trades, be sure to let me know in the chat. Okay, that's about to start. All right. Yes, very cool. Doom of Valyria there. And of course, while I'm doing the artwork, I've only got a couple of Valyria artworks, so let's go ahead and show those off while we're here. I'll do that one too. Classic Ted Nasmith. All right. And let me get this before I miss it. Lego Obi-Wan Kenobi says, sorry if it's off topic, but I was wondering what you think about Dany's birth of Rhaego. Why is his body hidden from her? Could he be alive? No, Jorah saw it. So no. I think it's just supposed to be, again, Dany is birthing the dragons. So gaining that magic of the dragons requires a sacrifice. She's giving up her human child to gain a magical power. So that is what's going on there. It's the sorcerer's bargain. And also Rhaego is showing us that the Targaryens actually have lizard DNA, which is this is the first time that, we saw that. So okay, artwork. So this one is the Doom of Valyria by Water Sorcerer. And I will zoom in so you can see the background. Not sure why. Only the purple dress got color. But so there you can see. Yes, this tower is getting hit by something. Yeah, there's like stuff hitting the towers. Volcanoes are blowing their tops. The dragons are dying in the air. And this romantic couple is going out. Are they holding hands? Why aren't they holding hands? Maybe they're brother and sister. Wait, that doesn't matter. It's Valyria. Okay. This is Tommy Scott, Valyria. This is you've seen this one. It's very widely used. Very cool. Very Atlantis looking. Of course, the myths about Atlantis described concentric circles and moats to all their cities, always circular. And you can see that, especially in the background up top here. You can see the canals and the circles there. So I'm pretty sure this artist must have been thinking about the Atlantean legends when he made this, which, of course, makes me very, very happy. Very happy. So this is classic Ted Nasmith Valyria. I'll zoom in a bit. Go down low, we can see some Valyrian sphinxes, which is very cool. Rivers of molten lava. We got dragons. All of it looks like fused stone. We got some crystal turrets, which is a nice touch. The dragons perching. And, of course, the doom is starting in the background. The mountains are leaking. So very awesome. Definitely everyone's seen that one. Ted Nasmith. All the way back in 2013, he did this. And also I threw in Euron's armor. He's got the Valerian armor. This is a really nice depiction of it. Got the whorls and glyphs in there. Valerian scale armor. Very cool. So, yeah. Cool. So I've got more Patreon and more PayPals, guys. Really appreciate it. Ramshackle Pictures, thanking me for all I do, rarely getting to catch a live stream. Any ideas as to what truth Dany might find in a shy via the glass candles? Yes. So what does Dany need to know? Let's work backwards. Dany needs to know about the threat of the others. She needs to know that she needs to use the dragons against the others. It seems intuitive to us because we can see the whole picture. Marwyn can see the whole picture, so he's got it. But Dany doesn't know about the others. She just is given these dragons. She doesn't maybe even know why. And she's trying to rule justly. She's freeing slaves, which is good. Burning slavers is good. But ultimately, she needs to understand that the original Dragonlords came to Westeros and probably used the dragons to kill the others. I think this is the big missing part of the last hero story, If he had an Azor Ahai connection, dragons were probably involved. At the very least, the dragons might have been involved in forging Dawn, creating a weapon to kill the others. Maybe there was more dragon steel. Maybe there was more Dawn swords. So I think Dany will need to know about Azor Ahai. She'll need to know what the truth of that is. She'll probably need to know the darker side of the Bloodstone Emperor Azor Ahai business so that she can be further cautious about magic and stuff like that. Then there's the question of, how do we fix the long night? Like, by the time Dany gets the glass candle and goes to Ashai and starts poking around, the long night might have fallen by then. So she might be looking for knowledge to literally figure out how to end the long night. So again, she'd want to know about the first one to figure out how to end the new one. Could be that she'll be under Euron's influence and they'll go fishing for occult knowledge that will help Euron trigger the new long night. Remember, I suggested she might blow the Dragonbinder horn and accidentally call a comet back to trigger the new long night. Maybe Euron will trick her into doing that. Maybe Quaithe will trick her into doing that. So yeah, Dany could be deceived. Dany could be out there on the astral plane getting taken advantage of, or not taken advantage of, but like, taken advantage of. I guess that's probably a good way to put it. The more powerful entities are looking to use potentially people like Euron and Dany and Melisandre, who go poking their heads out on the astral plane. So lots of dark stuff. Now, that leads me to another question that a lot of you had in the comments. The Church of Starry Wisdom was founded by the Bloodstone Emperor who caused the Long Night. I'm suggesting that Quaithe and Marwyn are both Starry Wisdom Church cultists. Definitely Quaithe seems like it for sure. But Quaithe seems to want Dany to embrace her dragons and to use them against the others. She hasn't mentioned the others yet, but she says to go north, you must go south. So she understands that Dany's ultimate destination is north, right? And Marwyn is even more explicit, talking about the others and the dragons in the same breath, and that Dany's our only hope and this and that. So seems like the two Starry Wisdom people we know want Dany to use her dragons, definitely, and probably to use them against the others, right? So what gives, right? Well, it's been 10,000 years, so we don't know what the Starry Wisdom Church is really doing since the Long Night. After the Bloodstone Emperor debacle, maybe they had a 180. Maybe they are more like a cult of secret wisdom that they're just simply keeping so that it can be used again at the right time. They could be behind some of the stuff in the Faith of the Seven and Relorism. Those are both theories that people have wondered about. Obviously, the Reloris sweat Azor Ahai and fire magic, which seems to be tied to, again, Azor Ahai and the original Dragonlords of the Great Empire of the Dawn. And then the Faith of the Seven has tons of starry imagery and belief sets and stuff like that. And it's established in Old Town as well. So obviously it came along a lot later via the Andals. It's more like the current version of the Faith of the Seven in Westeros could have been at some point corrupted by Starry Wisdom people. Because if you look at the Andals Faith of the Seven, it is a lot different and less developed. They are carving axes and hammers everywhere. And then when they get over here, we have the 7-pointed star, and it seems like the faith definitely evolves over time. So that could be something as well. But getting back to the what is the Church of Starry Wisdom up to? I think the only thing we can say for sure is that they possess secret knowledge, and that it has to do with astronomy and astrology. They're scrying towers. They sing to the stars. So obviously this has something to do with communicating with heaven. I've got to think that they possess secrets about, again, the comet and the long night and all that stuff. But I can only go on what Quaithe and Marwyn are doing. They seem to want to help Dany learn to use her dragons to fight the others. So until we get different information, we have to assume that that is the agenda of at least those two people. Now, we also have to consider the idea that there's the agenda of the temple, and then there's the agenda of the people. Like Melisandre she might be freelancing. We don't know that everything she's doing is approved by Bonero and the Red Temple. The Bonero thinks that Dany is Azor Ahai. Melisandre hasn't even heard of Dany that we know of. So they're definitely not on the same page. And Makoro could be doing his own thing as well. Gosh, I mean, that's a whole can of worms right there. So we just have to wait and see what is going on with Starry Wisdom Church. The more important thing is the characters, though. So really, let's just think about Quaithe and Marwyn. Starry Wisdom Church is something that may figure into our analysis of those figures, but well, and Euron as well. Westeros is only just starting to hear about Dany. We see that in Feast in Old Town, which is one of the first place they're going to get news from the outside world, from the East, is they're just starting to hear rumors about Dany, and they're very twisted rumors. So they don't have good information about Dany at all. Claire for the move and thanking me for Dany content. Her favorite character also. Right on, Claire. And Greg says, love the artwork. Do you think Valyria started after the riders learned to harness the power of dragons, or did it just get larger? Was the Freehold a thing before they rode dragons? So I think that if they inherited magic from the Great Empire of the Dawn, then they would have had the dragon knowledge from the beginning. It could have been that they simply took the knowledge of the sorcery to the Valyrian Peninsula, found dragons there, and sort of reestablished it. But it's probably more of a direct connection. If dragons were native to the Valyrian Peninsula, probably the Great Empire of the Dawn knew about that and already had been there before the Great Empire of the Dawn collapsed. I mean, if they went all the way to Westeros, then they must have been aware of a giant volcanic peninsula like covered with dragons. Or maybe dragons weren't native to Valyria and they were brought there by the Great Empire of the Dawn, and they originally all came from the Shadow. That's possible. Especially if dragons aren't native, but rather were created from fireworms and wyverns. If they were created, then they would have been created in one place and spread out from there. That place would have been a Shai. So it could be that they were brought to Valyria. Any of that makes sense. And any of that is stuff that Dany could find out about as well. So there you go. Another Patreon question comes from Nikki. Do you think there's a link between Valyrian magic and the Weirwood Net magic? And asking about the obsidian. So I talked about this already, but let's go back to the obsidian. What about the glass candles? What makes something a glass candle versus a long dragon glass knife? Can dragon glass knives light up with fire just like the glass candles do? There's a clue about this. Very obscure clue. Quaithe is the one who gives it to us. If I could just spell right. Here we go. So this is in Garth, after they watch the fire mage climb the fiery ladder and then disappear. And Quaithe is saying, dragons are, magic is stronger in the world because you birthed the dragons. And she says, half a year gone, that man could scarcely wake fire from dragonglass. He had some small skills with powders and wildfire, sufficient to entrance a crowd. He could walk across hot coals and make burning roses bloom in the air, but he could no more aspire to climb the fiery ladder than a common fisherman could hope to catch a kraken in his nets. So this is a really interesting quote. This tells us a lot, that even before the dragons came back to the world, even before the resurgence of magic, you could still do a little. You could make a fiery rose bloom in the air. You could wake a little bit of fire from dragon glass. What does that mean? Is she just talking about a glass candle? If so, that's impressive. He could light a glass candle before they're, quote, burning again. Because remember, Quaithe tells her at a certain point the glass candles are burning again. and that's why I can come see you. And we hear that the glass candles are burning again in the house of Urathon Nightwalker. So that means that the glass candles lighting up is a thing. Like that's it's significant. So if a fire mage could wake fire from dragon glass, well, that's impressive if it's a glass candle. And if it's not a glass candle, then that means that regular dragon glass can light up on fire. And that kind of would make sense. Imagine the Night's Watch armed with a bunch of dragon glass knives. We already know that. But what if they all lit up like a candle? That would be cool, right? Because it's dark. And you got a flaming knife, a bunch of little Lightbringers. So this would make sense. So it's possible that there isn't much of a difference between a glass candle and an obsidian knife. It could be that there's a consecration spell to create a glass candle, make it functional. Obviously, we're given clues that you need blood to power the magic. But it's implied here that any dragon glass, you can wake fire from it. So, oh no, my glass candle motion is meant to be inappropriate. I turned up the innuendo to 11 in the glass candle video, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. Seems like a lot of you noticed. The slow pan down with Gendry when I was talking about how he may have been endowed with secrets. Yes, this is not an accident. This is what you came for, right? All right, so yeah. Let's see here. Going back to Patreon, there was, I think Princely sent me a couple of questions. Yeah. With all the power that comes with the weapons of mass destruction and instant communication, how did the Valerian colonies in Sothoryos not succeed? Or for that matter, how did they lose a battle or war against men on horses with these immense advantages? The Roynish Wars lasted 150 years. So the Roynish Wars, they didn't fight them all out, it seems like. Was sort of a slow progression. And I don't know. I don't think there is much resisting, an army of Dragonlords. Gis fought with them for a long time. It's unclear how they resisted at all. Perhaps they had their different magics that could counter them. I mean, the Rhoynar used their water magic against the Valerians. So 8,000 years ago, perhaps in Gis, they had sorcery as well. Perhaps they had, warlocks or something like that, right? Now, as far as Sothoryos, well, I think one of the clues to that comes with Area's fireworms. Now, those probably came from Valyria. Those parasitic worms. They're not, I'm sorry, I shouldn't call them fireworms. It's not clear at all that they're the same as fireworms. They may be. But Area Targaryen, she's that girl that hopped on Valerian the Black Dread, disappeared for a few weeks, and then came back infected with parasites. And her body was boiling and cooking from the inside. And then there was all these parasitic worms inside of her with human heads and hands. They were screaming, and it was very awful. And they died when she was immersed in ice water. So they were killed by ice, just as the White Walkers can be killed with fire magic, right? So this shows you how dragons can be defeated. Like these parasites, if they can get inside Area, they might be able to get inside dragons. They're clearly creatures of fire. And if you haven't seen my Great Empire of the Dawn Dracomorph video, definitely check that out. I went 2 hours deep on the comparisons between the xenomorphs of aliens and the parasitic worms, and I talked about how these worms might have actually been used to create the blood of the dragon. And it's a dark and fun episode, so definitely check that one out. Lots of nightmare fuel. But yeah, that's why they probably didn't succeed in Sothoryos. They probably caught all sorts of nasty diseases and parasites. And we've seen that even, magical diseases and parasites exist. The Valerians were, they were defeated by grayscale. The grayscale, they had no defense against it. So that's probably the answer. Sothoryos is a nasty place. Another PayPal. Thanks. Tara. What if Azor High's spirit is in the weirwood or another object like a dragon or sword? And of course, Nissa Nissa's soul was said to go into Lightbringer. So could Dany have to confront it when she gets to Westeros? Yes. Anything like that is possible. There's several versions of this that I've entertained. So it seems like Azor High invaded the Weirwood Net through his murder of Nissa Nissa, who seems to have been part child of the forest or maybe part green man woman. Okay. So Azor High's spirit could definitely be inside the Weirwood Net. I think it would be inside the sort of otherized half where the others draw their power from, which means that he's basically the great other. That's what I think, is that Azor High is the great other and that he is, in a sense, inside the Weirwood Net. Now, Nissa Nissa also may be inside the Weirwood Net, but if she's in there, she's going to be in the Green Seer half. It's a little bit deep to go into. Check out the Weirwood Goddesses live stream for like a more rational explanation of that. Because the thing is that the sword Lightbringer and the Weirwood tree as a burning tree that has the fire of the gods are basically analogous symbols. So when it says that Nissa Nissa's soul and strength went into Lightbringer, that could mean that she went into the Weirwood tree, which is another sort of symbol of Lightbringer. It could also be, well, it is also referring to childbirth, the way that parents put a little bit of themselves into the child. Just like the moon meteor dragons, they drink the fire of the sun, but they're pieces of the moon. George is all about that reproduction symbolism, and it's always dealing with the legacy of the parents. That's a big theme in the story. All right. I might get through an entire stream without doing any accidental mutes. Could it be? So far, I haven't done one. A late breaking patron question. Wouldn't Dany be wary of using sorcery after what happened to Khal Drogo and Mirri Mazdur? And this is a related question. Some people have wondered, will Dany hold Marwyn's association with Mirri Mazdur against Marwyn? I really don't think so. I don't see why she would. Mirri Mazdur learned medical science from Marwyn, and Marwyn learned sorcery from Mirri. Mirri also learned the speech of Westeros from Marwyn. So if you teach somebody how to speak a language and you teach them medical science, and then they go later and use like sorcery to kill someone's baby, I just don't think that's your fault, right? Like Marwyn didn't show her how to do what Mirri Mazdur did. He showed her how to actually deliver a baby. And Mirri Mazdur used that knowledge to get Dany to trust her to deliver the baby, but then she may have done some sorcery to make it come out dead, possibly, or she she does seem to have intentionally done fuckery with Drogo to make sure that he would be a vegetable. So I just don't see how. I think that could make Dany skeptical, but you can't really lay that at Marwyn's feet. So I think she'll have questions about what Marwyn learned in Ashai and what people do in Ashai and all that shit. But she's skeptical of everyone at this point. So yeah, and besides, Dany used the blood magic principles that she learned from Mirri Mazdur to hatch the dragons. So I don't think Dany's necessarily hesitant to use sorcery. I think she just probably has a healthy respect for it at this point. What do I think about the symbolism of the magical diseases? Araya's parasites were full-on body horror. Symbolism-wise, though, and this is from Juliana, the fireworms are perfect moon meteors. I mean, Araya Targaryen is like the moon. Her body breaks open and cooks and burns and bleeds, just like, the burning meteors are called bleeding stars. So you've got burning and bleeding dragon mother, and she's giving birth to worm creatures, which of course are a good moon meteor symbol since they look like worms or dragon tails or whatever. So you've got all these horrible worm-like dragon children hatching from a mother of dragons. So it's pretty straight up moon symbolism there. Now the grayscale seems to be others and whiting symbolism. These are people who go into the water, i.e., into the green sea, and come out dead and cold. So I think that seems to be other symbolism, and I think that's confirmed in one of the specific scenes with the stone men. I just can't remember what the keywords were there, but I remember thinking that that's what they were doing. So the grayscales, other symbolism. The parasites are moon meteor symbolism. That is what I think. All right, let's go ahead and do our positive intention for George Martin here to help him finish the Winds of Winter. And I'm going to put up a picture of his smiling face so we can think about him better. That's our man. That's our friend, George R. R. Martin. The reason why we're all here. The reason why we're all here talking about symbolism, making friends with each other. This guy. This lovable old hippie named George Martin. So let's all send him our positive energy right now. Let's think about George finishing the Winds of Winter. He may be wrestling with one final plot knot. One final super difficult, gnarly scene like the Red Wedding that he's just having trouble writing. So let's all think about George finding the creativity, the energy, and the inspiration to finish the book, to put it out, to feel accomplished. It's weighing on his shoulders. He knows how much we want it. So let's think about George finishing the book, being a happy man, like we see in this picture, going to many Grateful Dead concerts in the future, and diving right into a dream of spring. All right. That's a good one. Thanks, guys. It's all about the positive intention. And thank you guys all for participating in that. I really do appreciate that. All right. So I'll go ahead and take last call for questions. And then I will get on to watching the NBA draft and packing up to move. Oh, yes. All right. So it looks like all chalk so far. Green, Mobley. All right. No trades yet. No trades. Very good. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me today, by the way. This has been lots of fun. One thing that I didn't get to talk about, and I talked about this in the Doom videos. The Doom was an inside job, and the Doom was an abolition. That the reason why the Targaryens may have left behind all the Valyrian sorcery on Dragonstone, it might have been a choice, because all the Valyrian sorcery seems to require blood magic. Making Valyrian steel blades almost certainly requires blood sacrifice. Creating the dragon bond probably requires blood sacrifice. The human-animal hybrid stuff is awful. And the glass candles are supposedly powered by blood as well. Maybe it's just you got to make them, you got to, stroke the candle just a little bit and like bleed on it a little. But maybe in order to set it up and consecrate it, it requires an actual blood sacrifice. The dragon binder horn kills people who blow it. So it could be that the Targaryens left behind all of these horrible blood magic powers because they were creating the Doom on purpose. Okay, this is the theory here, okay? Valyria is a 5,000-year-old genocidal slave empire. It's truly awful. It's kind of like if the Nazis had dragons and ruled for 5,000 years. It's unfathomable. It's almost unrealistically evil and awful. So at some point, you have to figure there were Valyrians who looked around and was like, this is bad. We are the bad guys, right? There's always, there were anti-slavery forces in America back in the day. There's always freedom fighters and justice fighters trying to push against the dominant paradigm of the day. So sooner or later in those 5,000 years, there must have been abolitionist Dragonlords. There must have been Valerians who were like, this is all bad. We must stop. Maybe there was a political party that was advocating for a kinder, gentler Dragonlord foreign policy or something, right? So my theory about the Doom is that Aenar Targaryen conspired with the Faceless Men to pull off the Doom, not so that he would be the last person with dragons, which is fucking sociopathic, to kill millions of people, of your own countrymen, just so you can have a monopoly on dragons. And then Aenar Targaryen didn't do anything with the dragons. He didn't turn around and conquer Westeros. It wasn't until 100 years later that Aegon the Conqueror conquered Westeros. And I don't think that's like a long range plan there. So to me, the evidence points to Aenar Targaryen. If he did cause the Doom, he probably did it to end Valyria, because this would have been the only way to end Valyria, is to take them all out at once. After you saw the Rhoynar fail, you can see, well, they can just put 300 dragons in the sky and defeat anyone. So how will we ever stop them? How do we prevent another 5,000 years of genocidal slave empire? The only way is to blow up the volcanoes and wipe it all out. And that's exactly what happened. So if Aenar was doing that for moral reasons, then it makes sense that he would not bring the blood magics of Valyria with him to Dragonstone. And that's what we see. No candles, no more Valyrian steelmaking, no Dragonbinder horns. So that's my theory. Let me know what you think. But yeah, he was raging against the machine. That's right. Aenar Targaryen, revolutionary number one. And that really makes sense too, with Dany using her dragons to burn slave masters and free slaves. She's sort of continuing what Aenar Targaryen started by reversing the evil of the Empire of Valyria. So pretty cool. And that's probably a good place to stop, because my voice is about done and we seem to be about out of questions. So thank you very much, guys, for sending me all the moving money. Like I said, I won't have time to do a live stream this Sunday because I will be moving. So I hope you're enjoying all the new videos, and we'll see you again the week after that in my new house with a new live stream. All right. Thanks, guys. And if you have questions during the week, you can also use the paypal.me option. And if you're watching after the fact and you want to kick me some moving money, feel free to do that as well. I really appreciate it. So thanks, guys. Once again, thank you for helping me get over 37,000 subs. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not. Onward towards 40,000. And onward towards the winds of winter. Come on, George. Let's do it.